Hi there, I'm Carolyn with the Ohio Valley Museum of Discovery, and I'm going to show you what to do with your polyhedron. You should have a piece of sturdy paper in a bright color with a shape on it. My shape is a tetrahedron. You might have a cube or a dodecahedron or something else. You're going to begin, no matter what shape you have, you're going to begin by cutting out all the way around the outer lines of your polyhedron. Now that you've cut out your entire dodecahedron all the way around every single edge, I want you to pay special attention to these spots right here. This is a tab that's going to get folded down to connect this piece to its neighbor right here. That tab needs to be free, so make sure you cut that free. And the same thing for the rest of those. There are 5 of them around that center shape. Go ahead and give those a quick snip so that you have your dodecahedron set up like this. Now, I have a question for you. Why do you think this is called a dodecahedron? A polyhedron is a 3-dimensional shape made up of faces shaped like basic polygons that we know. So, our shape in the middle, yours is labeled with the letter A right here. This shape in the middle is a 5-sided polygon, which we know as a pentagon. If you count how many pentagons there are in this entire shape, let's start here. I'll hold it at the top where there's 3 together. We'll count the arms first, then the middle, then go up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that middle piece, 10, 11, 12. Your dodecahedron is made up of 12 pentagons. You know where hedron comes from, that's polyhedron. Dodeca must mean 12. And it does. A dodecahedron is a 12-faced polyhedron. So, the first step to make this flat piece of paper into something 3-dimensional like this is to fold and crease along all the solid lines. You can start with the tabs that you'll find around several of the pentagons. Start by folding all of those. You'll fold so that the mountain fold is on the printed side and the valleys fold is on the plain side. Go ahead and fold each one of those. Make sure as you're folding to lay your paper down and make those creases nice and sharp. When you're all finished, this is what the side with the folds should look like, and here's the printed side. Now all you should be able to see are the pentagons without the tabs laying flat beside them. The next step will be to go ahead and fold on the solid lines. Again, you're folding everything the same direction. So starting with your pentagon A in the very middle, fold each of these 5 lines that make pentagon A. You will fold them and crease them just like you did with the tabs. As you fold one over, unfold it again after it's creased really well so that you have room to fold the next one down. Continue that way all the way around that center pentagon labeled A. Now that you've folded those, you can begin to see how your 3D shape is going to come together. This little tab is going to connect to the inside of the pentagon beside it, and so on. Let's go ahead and crease the rest of the solid lines along the other pentagons, and then we'll start attaching the faces to each other. There's mine all creased. Go ahead and open it out. And we'll start again around pentagon A here and take the first layer of pentagons that are connected directly to A, and now they're going to start connecting to their neighbors. You have 2 ways of connecting. You can put a little bit of glue right here just along the tab, then fold up the neighbor pentagon and hold it together while the glue dries. Or you can just grab some of your tape, cut a few small pieces, and stick them together that way. So there's my first layer of pentagons taped together. Now you still have a lot of folded areas, So you're going to do a second round of attaching pentagons to their neighbors. This one, you'll start off by folding it down and attaching it to the pentagon below. And you'll continue that way, going around, connecting pentagons to those below and beside. Again, you can use glue or tape to attach them, whatever you prefer. When you've finished attaching that next layer of pentagons to the ones below them and beside them, you will end up with a box with a lid like this. The final step is to attach this top pentagon to all these tabs facing it around the inside of that box. Again, use glue or tape to close that up. And there you go. You've taken a flat piece of paper and made a three-dimensional 12-sided object. This amazing shape out of almost nothing. Now, let's think about how this might be related to your bean plants and pollen. If you think about what happens with a bean's flower, the flowers contain pollen, and the pollen is carried from flower to flower by bees, or you see a lot of pollen that's carried by wind. You often see it looks like a yellow dust on parked cars a lot of times in the spring. Well, if you look really closely at those pollen grains, here's a botany textbook where we have a beautiful picture of pollen grains up really, really close. Those are some basic shapes of pollen grains. Now, our dodecahedron is pretty complicated, but maybe not quite as complicated as those pollen grain shapes. But imagine if this is a gigantic piece of pollen